You only have $10,000 and you want to learn how to drift, but you don't know where to start. And drift cars are expensive, right? So where do you start? Well, luckily, I'm afflicted here with this BMW 135 and a whole bunch of parts to tell you how you can build a seat time drift car to learn how to drift in under $10,000 and possibly even cheaper. So this is a 2012 BMW 135. The car is literally as normal as it gets in terms of a car. It is the N55 model because I wanted reliability. You go N55 for reliability and a little bit less power, and N54 if you want to make more power. And you might hear that they're reliable after you do maintenance. How about just like oil changes and possibly rod bearings, but good oil and then you're pretty much good. This thing has 121,000 miles on it and it has not had the rod bearings changed. Either this is a ticking time bomb or this is just the most reliable car ever. So I bought this car with the intention to learn how to drift because I've never had a dedicated drift car before. I got this thing off a Copart. It was incredibly cheap. I believe it was $5,500 and the thing runs perfectly fine. It actually came with some mods and I'll explain what the mods are. What you see there is something that I put on, but that'll be explained in a second. It came with a downpipe and it came with a JB4, which is kind of like a piggyback module. I do not recommend getting that if you want your car to survive. Don't know how long it's been on this car. You can definitely tell it's a piggyback and not an actual tune. We'll go over that in a sec. So starting off with the car cost $5,500. This intake I got off the Facebook Marketplace for literally $60. 60. Install it. I mean, the car definitely runs better. It is a AFE intake. You can get the BMW 3 Series one, also for N55. You can get the 1 Series one or whatever. Whatever you find on the internet, it's probably compatible. Moving on. So when I was picking up this car, I immediately went and I hit up the one person I know that also drifts a 1 Series, and that is Chris Snap. I told him, hey, I want an angle kit on this car. I don't want to spend crazy money because I'm learning how to drift and I don't want it to be a crutch for me. I want to be able to learn good habits. He hooked me up with FDF. FDF actually sent me over a brand new kit they have for their cars. It's in that box. Let's go over it. So this is the FDF 1 Series mini kit. Essentially, it bolts in there and it gives you some more angle, and that is literally it. You don't have to change your fenders like a lot of people do. The alignment is mostly the same. Of course, you should get an alignment anytime you replace anything on your suspension, but it's all stuff that you can do. So that kit will provide 30% more angle, lower Ackerman, and minimize bump steer, which honestly, if you're learning how to drift, you'll learn what those terms are when you do your alignment. I'm gonna let you look that up. Otherwise, I'm gonna install it. And Drew bought an elevator. He would like to show it.
I'm blowing up in the world, baby.
Oh my God, that thing is yo.
I bought a brand new lift.
It didn't occur to me how big this thing was.
And you know how much this will pick up? 15,000 pounds. 15,000 pounds.
For the uninitiated, that is 1.5 new BMW M5s. That means we got to do a test where we get 3 Miatas and stack them on top of each other, see what happens. And before we do anything, I'm just gonna show you the stock angle of the wheel prior. That's actually a decent bit for stock.
That's pretty much about the same that I got on Riff Raff. Riff has cut locks on it.
That seems like a lot. If it's 30% more than this, that should be kind of crazy. That's a good bit. So that is a 30, correct?
Yeah, that's a T30.
So you're gonna need a T30 to disconnect the first of the tie rod while you're also using a what size wrench? 21 size wrench. 21 for the lower bolt as well underneath. Oh wow. Small note to get that one underneath, you might need an impact. This one was on there. So it turns out you actually got to take the brakes off in order to do this. Part of the mounting for the knuckle adapter is that right here screws into the back of the dust shield. What that's for exactly, I don't really know. Did you need it? I don't know actually. Apparently one of the mounting bolts for the caliper was actually loose already. So if you ever want quick release brakes on your 1 Series or 3 Series, you know what to do. Get a cutoff wheel.
I went to college for motorsports, so I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two.
If you know who Adam LZ is, he's Adam LZ's crew chief. Don't look that up online though. These are all 10s on the dust shield.
So that one gets bolted in here. Then we put the other bolts in there. And then we put the lower control arm, so we got to undo the tie rod end.
Yep.
This goes into where the tie rod goes.
Yep.
Then this goes into this hole, and it gets bolted in there. Let's take this off.
Yes, sir.
And then I'll start bolting this on, and then put the dust shield, bolt this all in, put the dust shield back on, put the brakes together, and then try to figure out a spitball alignment.
Legit. I'm gonna drive home looking like those
fancy pants.
Fancy pants. That's what it is.
Tightened onto here as well.
Yep.
With the, it looks like another Allen key there.
What is that for? To hold it in place?
Yeah, so this actually holds the...
Oh, so it's like a quick adjustment.
So you can do that. So you could, it looks like you can actually, does it actually have it where you can also adjust the toe from there too? Because this is adjustable, because this can move back and forth.
Huh. So the torque spec for this top bolt is 175 foot-pounds, plus or minus 5 foot-pounds. So if you have a hard time measuring, I know a lot of you guys do, plus or minus 5. Bro, hold up. Wait.
We're not there yet.
Let me get a better grip. Oh! My bad. Oh, geez. And then the bottom one, the lower control arm, is set to 45.
Yeah, it's at 52.
I mean, that's whatever. All right, so we noticed something here with the Heim joints. Now, these have been sitting for a little bit, but they're a little stiff.
So I cleaned them out. They were full of junk. So you gotta, every season I recommend if you have your Heim joints actually, or while you're at the track, just give them a little bit of lube. Just help them move around, because when they get solid up and get a ton of dirt in there, they start actually getting loose, or they pretty much do this where they're like frozen like this. And it just takes a while working it back and forth.
Do you think it's like a bronze fitting in there?
What was that?
Is it like bronze fitting inside of there or something?
I don't remember that much. I do know these are supposed to have it's like a little bit of wiggle room. Like now it's getting better. I don't have to put that much force on it. Now I can bend this up. Now I gotta unscrew it all the way back out again. Point where it's almost done. Well, it's almost off. And then I'll start threading it back on, because I want the even amount of threads to give us the most amount of adjustment. So it comes off like that, give it like 1 or 2 turns back on, line it up with this guy. Now, there we go. Yeah, and as you can see, this is pretty much how far you can go out with it, but I don't recommend that. If you want all the toe out, this is what you're gonna get. So if you want to think, let's try either 24 or 21.
This is 24 if you want to adjust it. We're pretty much setting a rough alignment right now, so you want to look straight. It's still a little bit towed out right now, but is the wheel straight? I should have probably checked that one. Yeah, that is on me. Oh yeah, that wheel's not straight.
What's the wheel straight?
Well, is the right turn to the left or the right?
It's turned all the way that way. So you're gonna turn the wheel that way. I gotta put it a bunch in.
Yeah, so I messed up and I left the steering wheel turned. Now, I gave it a lot of toe out by accident, but don't worry about it, because our brakes are backwards. Whoever had this car before put on the discs on the wrong side, so now we gotta jack the front up and swap them. And we also found that there's a little bit of slack in the adjustment after we put everything on. So what we're doing is making sure everything's set inside there. You can't really fit a wrench or a socket inside there, so what Drew used is a flathead screwdriver to go up against the side, just so the nut won't turn, so you can actually get it out.
Yeah, because what I'm getting at is, so I'm trying to make sure that's tight. Did not check that before, my fault. And then I gotta take probably most of this back apart to do the, oh yeah, that was loose, there you go.
So apparently that's 45 foot-pounds. All right, so we've actually got the one side on. We went and switched out the rotor so that it's actually on the correct side. One little thing you have to watch out for when installing these is that the heat shield will touch the rotor afterwards. Now, it's possible that my car is different, so keep that in mind. But if it touches it at the point where it screws into here, you're gonna have to figure out a way to make that work. Use your discretion. And of course, follow the steps for the right side, literally the same. But we're gonna see what kind of angle this thing gets now. So lock to lock, we just installed it. Looks factory still, thankfully. It's a little towed out. That's locked, bro. What even?
So what we say we work for the inside?
We're at 15 and a half.
Game, about an inch.
Got a couple degrees left. I mean, that's a lot. That's certainly more than before. The Ackerman is definitely different.
Or we could have more, we might be hitting the inside of the tire because we didn't see if it's hitting.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We're so far an inch farther than we are from OEM. However, we're hitting the lower control arm, Drew said.
Yeah, if you want to look at it, you can see it higher in the lower control arm.
Yeah.
So you do actually have more angle to get out of it still.
Well, FDF did say to run a 18x9 or 18x10 with a low offset so that, you know, you get the full advantage of this. So I'm gonna get some spacers for this and we're gonna try that out. Otherwise, I gotta get new wheels, I guess. That has been the install of the FDF mini kit on the 1 Series. Testing this soon. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Hopefully more YouTube videos soon, and we're working in the garage. First time trying to do a donut, a burnout with not rotor in a manual car.
Try and get them all nice and wet. It did both. You got both.
Let's try it again. It also definitely rubs up front.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, rubbing. I'm hit. I got sprayed with pebbles. Oh yeah, and you hit me.
I hate you?
Yeah, you dusted me with stones.
I thought,
You're in the video, I go like, ah, I'm hit.
well, that's good because this thing doesn't have an LSD, so I don't know if that's possible, but maybe it has an LSD.
Like I could see that the passenger side tire started to spin, but then the other side locked up as you got it going.
Okay.
So it's the initial hit that it's open diff, and then it locks up within like a second right after. Yeah.
Tells me all I need to know. Thing's a little ripper. Wow.
You pretty much laid it down all the way past there. You were still spinning them.
Huh. Yeah, I was holding the brakes a little bit, but I'm happy with that.